Good morning, everyone. I'd like to talk about my recent use of virtual classroom, and the title, as you may know, is a slight pun. The tool that I'll be using is called Collaborate. So what I'd like to do is just show you some examples of what I've done, and hopefully there'll be time for questions I can lead you through, and hopefully you can see how this is something you could make use of and see how easy it is to actually implement. So when you see virtual classroom, it's not that exciting yet, although they do that. You know, they do have virtual reality classrooms. We're not quite there yet, but when we talk about virtual classrooms, it's really the idea that you have the instructor in one place, and students can be anywhere and just access what you're doing. We see everybody sitting at a computer screen, but it's really not limited to a computer screen. It can be any device, and students always have their phones with them. They can, wherever they are, if they have access to the internet, they can do things on their phone or a tablet or whatever. So when is there a use for a virtual classroom? I know to a certain degree I was thinking, well, this isn't something I have use of, I'm not doing the sort of things that I need. But I do think if you think about it, there should be use for this with everybody. Of course, the immediate thing would be for online or hybrid courses where the students may not be here. There are some formats of online and hybrid courses where you can post video lectures for them to watch, but another alternative approach is to actually have the lecture be live and they just access through the internet wherever they are. So that was the thing. Originally, I thought that was what virtual classrooms were doing. When I came here, I didn't do that, or at least I didn't do that at that point. But there are some other things. One big thing, I know it's especially been emphasized by administration to always have a plan when there's weather cancellation. You know, at least every spring semester, we're likely to have one weather cancellation. I know that took me by surprise when I first came here. I was thinking, that's Georgia. They're never going to close for anything. And then there was one day, there was an inch of, I think the first semester I was here, there was an inch of snow. I didn't even think to look in the website whether campus was closed. I just got in my car, came here, and like, where is everybody? They close if there's an inch of snow. Although I realize you have to close with an inch of snow because nobody knows how to drive in an inch of snow. But that's a big thing. That was a big problem when you lose classes. If you're like me, especially if you teach, you have a lot of stuff in your syllabus you want to get to. If you lose a day or even 2 days, it really throws everything off. And this is a great tool to not lose any time at all. I mean, you can have your virtual classroom even at the same time as your regular meeting time. You know, you could have that in the syllabus if your class meets at 10:50. If we close for weather, as long as you have access to the internet, just log in. We'll do the class wherever you are. And as I'll show you, if students can't make the live virtual classroom, there are ways to save it for those that weren't able to access it. So this is certainly something I think everybody could make use of. When you're out of town or you're not here. In fact, David Brown was just telling me they're using this tool to stream. So someone's lecturing on campus and streaming to Gilmer. So the one thing I've seen with the Collaborate tool is it can do more things than you may think that it's intended for. This is one thing that I really probably got the most use out of the Collaborate is the out-of-class review sessions. And I don't know if anybody was here last year. Ken Ellinger gave a bold talk about his own experiences with out-of-class review sessions. They're extremely valuable, and students really appreciate when... Now, of course, students, I found, clamor for in-class review sessions. So let's take a whole class and review everything for the exam. It's hard to get that in, but there are out-of-class review sessions, and students really appreciate when it's done. Although the first semester, might have been the first semester I was here, I had a really bad experience doing what Ken Ellinger did. So my first semester was anatomy and physiology, and before the first exam, students are clamoring for an out-of-class review session. session. So I looked at my schedule, I'm like, all right, I'll do it for you guys. And I came in the morning when I normally wasn't even going to be on campus, and I booked the room. At least a dozen students said they were interested in coming. I had the room, I sat there, I waited. No one came, not a single person. And then the next class, everybody had their own different version of an excuse. Then the next exam came up and they're like, can you do it again? I promise I'll be there, I promise I'll be there. And you know what happened? No one came next time.
Wow.
That was the last time I held an in-person out-of-class review session. But if you use a virtual classroom, if I am at home, I log in, I see if anybody's there. If no one shows up, I can just log out. It's a really minimal expense on my part. But I do think it works better for the students as well, because it's a lot more accessible. You don't have to even come from home. You just log into a computer, even just access things on your phone, and you can participate. So I think it's easier for students to take advantage of these review sessions in this format as opposed to the face-to-face. And as I hope you'll be able to see, you can pretty much do everything in a virtual classroom that you can do in the face-to-face format. And one thing that this makes it a lot easier to do, I know you can videotape your review sessions, but I haven't done that, going through everything. But if you just do a virtual classroom with Collaborate, it's just a matter of hitting a button, and then it's saved. So if anybody couldn't make the time, that's always the issue with out-of-class review sessions. Not everyone will be able to make the time. And if you're a student, there's a class, or you have a job at that time, they might feel, I missed out on something, I have a disadvantage just based on my schedule compared to others. And here, everything can be recorded. And students can even, if they have a particular question or topic they want you to review, they can send it to you ahead of time, so you can even address in your review session. All right, there's a question from John, and he asked this, so when he goes back and looks at it, he'll see his specific question addressed. And I haven't done it, but again, just meeting with students. And there's other tools in Skype, but the one thing about this that I like is it's easy to duplicate your desktop to show any files, meeting with multiple students. So it's an easy format just to have you be able to talk to things. It's a lot easier than just emailing questions. Before exams, if a student types out a question through email, I wait to get it, I type it out. Explaining something really gets across things a lot easier than just communicating through messages. And even though it's not intended for this, it can be used to screencast your lectures. In fact, I know I've seen other people, they're using or planning on using Collaborate, not even with the idea of having other people, but you make a session and you just don't invite any students. And you don't do the whole thing and you record it. And this is free, so if you're looking for a free, easy screencasting, to video one of your lectures so you can have slides and drawing on the board or show any videos or anything on your desktop, that even though it's not the intended use for it, this can be used in that format as well. All right, so how hard is this to do? It is not very hard, and because Collaborate is embedded within GeorgiaView. So if you use GeorgiaView, and I think everybody uses GeorgiaView, it is there. And this is one of these things that's been here for several years, but just in my talking to other faculty members, I get the impression that people just aren't aware of this tool. And that was one of the things I was hoping to do from this, just highlight that you have this tool here, how easy it is to put in your current GeorgiaView class, and maybe you can see you get something out of it. So just showing you the module, you can pick any module. I have something called Review, and when you go under Existing Activities, there's something called External Learning Tools. When you click under that, you'll see a whole bunch of things. These are right there. And there's Collaborate LTI, which I think came before Collaborate Ultra. That it's a little bit more complicated. Collaborate Ultra is more streamlined, but it's right there. So you click on it, and then you'll have a Collaborate Ultra session. I just renamed it something. there. So you'll see something that's set up like that. Once you have that session that's there, the way students access it is that they can enter Georgia View and just click on that, and they just enter the session. They can also dial in, or they can also just use a web link. So one thing that I've done is just, even though I tell everybody it's on Georgia View, if they want to use it that way, I'll email my class the web link. That way, if they just want to use their phone, it's just a matter of opening up their message through email, click on it, and they're in. So you don't need any other software. So you can preload. You can see, you can put image figures, PowerPoints, PDFs. So, for example, if I'm doing a review session, what we're seeing here, this was a review session for Anatomy and Physiology 1 that I did earlier in the semester. I reloaded my PowerPoint slides for my lectures. I reloaded my sample exams. It does take a minute or so to process larger files, so you can do it on the fly, but it might be a little bit slow. Students start logging in, and there's a page where you can see all of their faces. You can see no one here used video. I was the only. But students can do whatever they want. They can just interact all through text messages. They can have audio only. They can have video and audio. So it really is flexible depending upon what they feel comfortable doing and what you feel comfortable doing as well. So what I did, I just had an introduction message to students. So I got in ahead of time. You can set up things that you have the session only open up for a certain window. The way I set up Collaborate Ultra is I just had it open all the time. That way students could go in early and just play around with things to get more comfortable. I could go in early and set things up. I didn't want to worry about any timer for when people could access or not. One function that I really like, especially if there's larger classes, there's a virtual hand raise function. So if students have a question, because when I'm going through the slides, I don't see all the faces, but if somebody has a question, the hand raise comes up, and there they are. You can see as we go through, they can raise their hand and talk through audio, or they can just type their message in the chat window. And the way I help this message is, as I see things come up, I just brought things up and explained it. I can show you a brief minute or two of the actual session at the end. It does work best with Chrome. It will work with other browsers, but it may not work completely. I had problems with getting like the video to work in Firefox, but I had the most success with Chrome. And when students are logging in, I've had a number of students say, I'm trying to use audio, but it's not working, so it may not be. They can still type and interact, but if you want to have full ability to do things, use Chrome. One thing that I like is, again, the same way that they can raise their virtual hand, you can see there's this chat window. In the review session, students are typing out questions for me. If that window is closed, when there's a new message, it pops up there. So that way I am aware when there's new questions that are coming up. But there's a whole lot of other features. You can see you can share a virtual whiteboard, drawing things on the screen. You can duplicate a screen, a video screen. I haven't done this, but you can divide students in the chat into breakout groups. With the chat, you can send a message just to one person or to everybody. There's polls. In fact, here, I'm doing a little poll. So a student asked a question, when acid is added to water, does the pH go up or down? And I was about to answer the question, and I thought, all right, let's make it interactive. You know, the same way you can do active learning in a real classroom. So I asked them, do a little poll. Tell me, 1, if acid makes the pH go up, 2, if the acid makes the pH go down. Those of you who are biologists or chemists, no, 2 is the right answer. So you did. It's a good thing this was a review session. It was a good thing they asked the question because it came up, and that was something that was certainly on the exam. There's drawing tools. You can see I'm scribbling on the board. Really, it was a much everything you can think of in a classroom you can do. As I mentioned, if you can't make it, you can record the session for later. But you have to remember to hit the record button. The first time I did it, I just forgot to hit it. It was over, and I'm like, ah! And then I had to apologize for everybody who I promised it would be there. So when it's recorded, they can watch the sessions. They can see the slides you put up, the video, and all the text messages that students are typing. Or they can download an MP4 file, but if that loses all the text, they just get the video and the audio. As I mentioned before, just doing that can be a screencasting tool. And the students respond very enthusiastically to that. At the end of this one, can we do it before every test? I like this, thank you. And when I ask for students' feedback and exam records, this is by far the most common thing that everybody responds to positively. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Yes?
So you have had these out-of-class review sessions. Have you seen a change in student outcomes in terms of doing this? Have you seen better performance coming from the students?
I haven't gotten into the analysis of doing that yet. That could be something that could be a follow-up research exercise.
And I would add, and David Brown just sent this information to me yesterday or the other day, that one of the things about using video now, they've shown that if you use shorter videos and more of them, you have more success than a few longer videos.
Right.
The kids like Snapchat.
Right.
So that's just another thing that this can do.
One thing with this, students can, for the review session, students dropped in and dropped out throughout it, so it's...
And the fact you're smart enough to send the web link, so they didn't have to look for it.
Right.
So, all right.
Anybody else have it?
Yeah, so you said that you do this ahead of time and not invite students versus inviting students. How do you do that? How do you control when they can access it, when they can't?
When you just do the setup, there's like a time for when it's open, and I just leave it open all the time. But you can set it up so that students can only access this. And when you're setting up, there's like a preferences window, and it will lay everything out like that. Just for simplicity, I've had it always be open. Just on the off, I mean, it'd be odd if a student jumped in while I'm setting things up. But even if they did, it wouldn't harm anything. I just tell them, get out of here. Yeah.
How many students do you think you're writing
In theory, it can handle a whole class. The most I've had is about 20, but in theory, it can handle as many as you can fit in a classroom. And it starts a little late as well, so. Again, I'm happy to, if anybody just has any further things about setting something up or getting things along about how to use it, I'm happy to help you. Yeah?
Actually, this is an unrelated thing, but I'm supposed to present in the upstairs, and it says on the schedule that I'm at 10:50, but we moved it to 10:30. I don't mind, I just wanted to let everybody know, because I saw a lot of college ed people that love to come.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Go on.